Hello and welcome back, everybody. So good to be here today. It's going to be an exciting stream for a really long time. So that will be something entirely new. And we're going to be venturing on that journey together over the course of the next couple streams, building out the character and the profile, interacting with people in the world, and seeing if we can have some exciting adventures, some unique experience. But without further ado, we really do have a lot of writing to get into today. And so I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. So today's session is Make Myth 07. This is the 7th episode in the series, and it's called So Suffer, and you'll find out why when we go back and the myth. So just a quick recap on what we're doing here on the channel, on the EI Warner channel. We're currently in the middle of the Make Myth series. I'm live in Athens, Greece right now, where I've been studying mythology, writing mythology, and really kind of full sending into this world of cosmogonic myths. And cosmogonic just means that we are talking about the creation of the universe. And this series is going to be 34 episodes long, and we're going to be writing, and then we're going to be playing some games. And just as a reminder to everyone, if you're new here, endurance is greater than heroics for this. So we're learning on the job, and it's about showing up again and again and again, not just one heroic moment. And this series is going to conclude on July 7th, 2026. And you'll find that the reason I chose that date is just because it has a lot of sevens in it. You'll find very quickly that the number 7 means a lot in this universe that we're creating together. And I thought that would be a good day to pause the series, look back, and reflect on everything that we accomplished. And so you can see we have some goals here, and all of them are also adjacent with the number 7. So we want to get 77,777 YouTube views, for example, keeping in mind that we only have 375 total views so far. So we haven't made a lot of progress on that yet, even though we've been streaming for 3 weeks now. But we haven't pushed the lever on growth at all. We've just been kind of streaming to the homies, streaming to the family, and warming up as we get the tech set up. For example, last time I went live, I had some issues with the audio and had to pull the stream down. And so we're trying to get through all those hiccups before we start inviting more people to join. And so the people who have been swinging by have just happened on this channel, or they are dear friends. And we're going to be providing a lot of updates on growth and how we plan to move forward in the next couple days. But we'll be checking in on these goals over the course of the series, and we'll see how we do. So far, we're not doing great, but you know, one day at a time, and we keep getting better. That's one thing to learn about this channel, is we only get better. So I'm going to provide a little recap on the myths. So I'm writing my own original cosmogonic myths, and it's 7 stories baked into one compendium. And it tracks the origin of the cosmos, you know, from before the beginning, when there was a, you know, primordial void, all the way to the emergence of a human civilization, the proto-human civilization. So the first myth is the origin of the cosmos. The second myth is the origin of Earth. The third myth, which we've been working on together, is the origin of good and evil. And today we are working on war, which is our version of natural selection, a war of forms between the different avatars of good and evil. And so that is what we're going to be working on today. And so without further ado, we should jump in and begin working on the manuscript. I'm not going to do a full recap. I found that when I watched back the stream last time, the full recap went a little bit long, as we've written more and more here. So we are going to dive right back into the myth, but let's just warm up. I'll provide a very high level update here. So once is the first of the 7 myths, and this starts with only one, only dark, right? So we're in that primordial void, and it ultimately emerges into the light emerges, and then the sun emerges, and we have the Big Bang, and the first planets are created. In the second myth, we find out that one of those planets is quite unique. She's Earth, and she's unique in that she's one unlike her brothers. She is distinctly feminine. You'll find that across pretty much every single mythology and every single language, the Earth is a distinctly feminine entity. And so she goes around the sun, she's going around the sun, and what she finds is that the sun is perfect. And before the sun's perfection, she feels imperfect. She feels a lot of shame. And so she starts spinning around on her horizontal axis and crying. And from that salt and from those spinning and that kind of collision of primordial elements, that soup, we get the first life, which are her two sons. And her two sons will ultimately represent good and evil. And so then you come into the brother myth, where you can see we have two parallel myths. One is the Dawn brother, and one is the Dusk brother. Although they're born the same, they have very different experiences based on where they were born. And as such, they end up, one becomes good and one becomes evil. So now we are going to work on the war myth. This is something that we did work on live last time on stream. But we're going to go ahead and read where we're at. It's not, it's quite raw. That's why we're working on it today. So I don't want you to judge it too harshly just yet. We're going to be able to make a lot of improvements, a lot of thinking on it today. And this is really important work that we're doing. It's a difficult myth to wrestle with. We're going to be creating the origin of writing, the ability to leave messages behind so that no one and no other should so suffer. And that is where the name, the title of this stream actually comes from. So without further ado, let me take a sip of coffee and go ahead and get started on this. We'll read it first and analyze it, and then we will. Okay. From a seething tide of ice and salt, four-tongue forms three-fang to tell that he foretold. From a coursing river of fire and stone, four-eye forms six-paw, see that he foresaw. Six-paw prowls, hunts three-fang across all known, till he prowls atop a spire. There, wrapped by sun splendor, three-fang swallows six-paw. From a coursing river of fire and stone, four-eye forms eight-wing, to see that he foresaw. Eight-wing flies, hunts three-fang, above unknown, until he flies atop a spire. There, wrapped by sun splendor, three-fang swallows eight-wing. From a coursing river of fire and stone, four-eye forms twin two-hands, to see that he foresaw. Twin two hands, one and other, hold one another. One grasps, other reaches. One reaches, other grasps. Known, unknown, unknown, known, till one reaches atop a spire. There, wrapped by sun splendor, three-fang swallows one. Other reaches, grasps for one, finds only fang and fang, hand and hand. Other splits three-fang, from three-fang spills, fang, fang, and fang. Two three-paw, two four-wing, and one. One reaches, grasps for other, yet other is wrapped by sun splendor. One falls, beneath a spire. Other reaches, grasps for one, finds only bone and bone. Other weeps, sacrifices himself, by the bones of one, by the blood of other, fang and fang etched with the story of one and other. Other leaves staff and staff before a spire, so no one, so no other, should so suffer. All right. So let's start the analysis here and deep into that. So what are we saying? So from a seething tide of ice and salt, let me ground this for you. We are talking about the two brothers from the last myth. They end in a certain state where they're both about to die, and Mother saves them. And one of them is captured, is saved by being wrapped in a womb deep within her. She becomes kind of the fiery, molten core of Earth. He becomes that. And the other, the bad brother, he is actually locked inside the moon, and he is the evil brother, and so he sees at the tides of the ocean and salty waters, and he's a kind of a colder being. He's the opposite of his ignited brother, and he creates an avatar for him to fulfill the prophecy that he had foretold. And opposite of that, from a coursing river of fire and stone. So this is where we have sort of a volcano coming through, where you have the masculine energy at the center of the earth interacting with the feminine energy of the earth with the river. And he forms his own avatar called Sixpaw to see that he foresaw. So Sixpaw prowls, hunts Three Fang across all known until he prowls atop a spire. So Sixpaw is going to prowl. He's going to hunt for Three Fang. He knows that Three Fang is trying to achieve the exact opposite goal of prophecy that he's trying to see. And so he goes and goes until he prowls atop a spire. And if you'll remember from the brother myth, when the good brother and the evil brother clash, a spire grows in between them. And so this is that same spire that we inherited from the myth beforehand. And there, wrapped by sun splendor, Three Fang swallows Sixpaw. So when he gets to the absolute top of the mountain, of the spire, he is overcome by sun's splendor, by that glory. Similar to how when the mother went up there, went around the sun and beheld sun's splendor, she felt ashamed. In this case, they're just overcome. You know, he's unable to move, and in that moment of vulnerability, Three Fang swallows Sixpaw. So the evil avatar swallows the good avatar, and let's keep going. So we're going to continue making another avatar here. So from a coursing river of fire and stone, we have a repetition of how these avatars are formed. And so Four Eye forms Eight Wing. That's his next attempt at creating an avatar that will be able to see that he foresaw, that he will be able to fulfill his prophecy. And so Eight Wing flies. He flies because he's as Hi, Adam Eli in the chat. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much, Loving Line number 1. I really do appreciate you swinging by. And we're going to make everything a little bit better, but I do agree that there is some terrific poetics here in this myth, and there's a lot of potential for it to sound quite beautiful and have a real incantatory, which means like as of or pertaining to an incantation feel to it. So thank you so much, Adam Eli, for swinging by and for showing some love in the chat. I really do appreciate any sort of interaction. Most of the time in these early streams, I'm pretty much just by myself talking out loud. So anybody who swings by, anybody who talks, anybody who drops a like on this is always greatly appreciated. So the next one that's formed is Eight Wing, right? We said that he comes in, he flies, and he hunts Three Fang above the unknown. Whereas Sixpaw had prowled the known, he is flying above the unknown. Until he flies atop a spire, he continues along. There, he is wrapped by sun splendor, and he's swallowed as well. So he is not immune to the same rapture that made the Sixpaw vulnerable is the same rapture that makes Eight Wing vulnerable, and we're seeing a pattern. And this is natural selection. So far, these guys none of the avatars are actually succeeding. So from a coursing river of fire and stone, Four Eye forms twin two hands to see that he foresaw. So this is going to be his next avatar, which is two avatars, kind of two twins, which are prototypes together, and they are also going to be trying to fulfill that prophecy. Twin two hands, one and other, that's their name. So it's not just, it's how I'm going to refer to them, but these are going to be proper nouns, and we're going to see that we're going to be referring to them as one and other throughout the rest of the series, and they hold one another. So if the others prowl, that's in accordance with their nature. They're born as twins and they hold one another. And if you imagine each one of them has two hands, they're holding on to one another, but then one starts to reach and one starts to grasp, one grasps and other reaches, kind of like those old monkey toys, if you know what I'm talking about. And what they are able to do is, instead of prowling or flying, these guys alternate between reaching and grasping in the known and the unknown. So you always want to be grasping the known and reaching out into the unknown. And I do believe that humans should be doing that as well. I think that that's a really beautiful way to live your life, is to be grasping in the known and always reaching out into the unknown. So until they reach the exact same place that the other forms had come to, which is atop the spire, and only one can get to the top. And so the first one who gets there, it just happens to be one. He reaches up atop, and he again is wrapped by sun splendor. So he is vulnerable in a similar way to how the other forms were, and he's swallowed. But he has a homie here, and that's what makes him different from the other forms, is that his homie is still reaching and grasping for him. He misses. He knows that they are a pair and not supposed to be separated like that. So he reaches and grasps for him, and he reaches. So he reaches for him, but all he finds is Fang and Fang, right? So he finds 3 Fang. He has 2 hands, and so in each hand is a Fang, and what he does is he splits 3 Fang in half, and from 3 Fang spills Fang and Fang and Fang, 2 3-paw, 2 4-wing, and 1 1. So we're saying that inside his belly were all of these sorts of creations, and he is going to go ahead and swallow them. One reaches, grasps for other, yet other is wrapped by sun splatter. So the one is falling out of the sky, and he's reaching for his homie, but his homie is actually wrapped by sun splendor in the same way that the others were vulnerable, and he falls and falls beneath a spire. So he actually ends up dying. And so other reaches for him, the other homie, he reaches for his buddy who's dead. He finds only bone and bone. He's dead. He's screwed. And so he weeps, other weeps, and then he sacrifices himself. And we have this nice incantation: by the bones of one and by the blood of other, Fang and Fang etched with the story of one and other. And we're going to be working a lot on this story of one another, exactly what he writes today. That's going to be the principal thing that we are focusing on here. And the idea is that they learn from their mistakes. And so what he does is he etches in the fangs that they picked up the story of what just happened. And what he's going to do is he leaves the staffs before a spire, so no other should so suffer. And that is why we called today's stream So Suffer. And the idea is that you want to leave messages behind for those who come after you, so that they don't make the same mistakes that you do. So no other should so suffer. You are able to see that they're able to learn from that. So let's go back into the actual writing here and see what we need to address first. These early forms I think are completely fine. I don't want to worry about those. We worked on those last stream, and so today I want to work on the later ones, which is the twin 2 hands. So there are numerous forms that are created. The first 2 fail, and this is evolution. This is why it's called war. It's kind of the natural war of forms. And now we're going to work on the actual first, the beings that actually have a chance of succeeding against this evil that is 3 Fang. So what we have is, from a coursing river of fire and stone. Let me actually zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better now that we are writing together. And always feel free in the chat to let me know if you want me to zoom in or change the audio or anything like that. From a coursing river of fire and stone, 4-eye forms twin 2 hands to see that he foresaw. And so what we're saying here is that he formed these 2 beings in order to fulfill the prophecy that he had foreseen. 4-eye foresaw a prophecy. That's what it is. And as you can see, we're always looking for those poetics. We're always looking for that hymnal element, those rhythm rhymes that will make it sound more beautiful. So twin 2 hands, one another. We're calling them by their names. Hold one another. I think that's beautiful. That's perfect. We're moving on. One grasps, other reaches. One reaches, other grasps. Known, unknown, unknown, known. Again, really beautiful. I actually think this has a nice incantatory feeling and a nice rhythm. No changes needed. Until one reaches atop a spire. So this is the spire that was created in the brother myth. And this myth, only one can fit up there. And so, sorry, I'm kind of like out of, only one can fit up there. And so, and that one who goes up there and he reaches up there, hymnal element, love that. Thanks, Adam Eli, I really appreciate that. You're going to see when we do the polish here that it's all going to be about rhythm and incantation. These are going to be epic poems in addition to epic myths. So, these guys are reaching and they're grasping, and they are until the one who is reaching at that moment actually goes atop a spire. And so he is the one who reaches up there. And just like the forms before him, he is wrapped by sun splendor and swallowed. And that is also working for me. No changes needed here at all. And this is where we need to make some changes. This is where I feel like we left off last time that isn't quite working for me. We just kind of got to the end here to try to make it as good as possible, but we need to fix this here. Water, some coffee, and we'll dive right in. I'm even going to zoom in. So we have two homies. One got to the top of the spire because only one can fit up there. Afterwards, his homie is still reaching and grasping for him. He's reaching for him, but he finds only Fang and Fang. This we don't like. This also, I don't. Hand in hand, it's not clear enough. Other splits 3 Fang. That's okay. From 3 Fang spills, I like. I want to do spilt because split and spilt have a 1-letter transposition there. You can see, but then that would make it in the past tense. And we are trying to do the present tense here because, as you can recall from some of the earlier sessions, myths are not stories that happened or didn't happen. They are stories that happened, are happening, and will happen. And in order to do that, we want to use the present tense. So we're going to stay with spills for now and see if we can maybe make that work. Fang, Fang, and Fang. I think maybe this is good, maybe not. We can give this one a yellow background. And these are the things that spill out of him when he's split. We have 2 3-paw, 2 4-wing, and 1 1. And so that seems pretty good. All right, so let's work on this. Other reaches, grass. He's trying to find his homie up at the top of the spire. And he uses his hands he's reaching for his buddy. What does he find? Does he find something? Does he grasp it? Does he hold it? Why don't we just repeat the language, right? So instead of that, we can say, that looks pretty good. I'll show you why I made this decision. The reason I made this decision other reaches grass for 1, other grass reaches Fang and Fang. So he's reaching for 1. What does he grasp? What does he reach? Fang and Fang from 3 Fang. And what you can see is that if we actually go up, grass reaches known, unknown, we are following a similar pattern that we've already introduced, and that will continue to give us the hypnotic, poetic elements that we are looking for. So I really like this. We've already made a major improvement today. So let's continue. So we have other reaches in grass. He's reaching for his homie. He's grasping for his homie, and what does he find? He finds 2 of the fangs, 2 of 3 fangs, right? Because he only has 2 hands. He can't hold on to more than that. So other splits 3 Fang. Splits 3. So I need to say what he splits them into, right? So we could go half. We could go for a comma here. Half and we're using a lot of numbers, so getting into half and half is kind of other splits 3 Fang, half and half. I think that makes it clear. Severed in half. I kind of do like that. From 3 Fang spilled. I'm gonna ask AI. Define the word spilt. Is it only used for past tense? Past spilt. Spilt can also be used like an adjective. Spilt milk. I think we can use spilt here, team, and I'll tell you why I want to use it. Even though we talked about how myths are not stories that happened, they are stories that happened, are happening, and will continue to happen, and that's why we're committed to the present tense. I think that because it's also an adjective, we can use it. And I think it's quite a cool writing thing to have split and spilt. You'll see that I call that a one-letter transposition, where it's actually the exact same word. You just have to move the sequence of the I and the L. If you transpose one over the other, you get the other word. And I think that even if it doesn't sound so different, I think it looks beautiful on the page. And beauty on the page is extremely important for poems. And this is an epic poem after all. So, from Three Fangs Spilt, these are the things that come out of it. One thing I'm struggling with is I'm seeing I keep kind of going out of my frame. I need to find a way to zoom out a little bit. Maybe if I throw away from me, room to move. I don't like fang and fang and fang. I don't like it because it disrupts the rhythm that we have with the rest of the poem. Beauty on the page, heart. Adamila, you're the best. I really appreciate you watching and actually engaging, thinking here. This is a really intense project for me and something we're committed to getting to the end of and finding a beautiful way to present this to the world. And appreciate you appreciating my commitment to the beauty on the page. What I think I'm going to say is this obviously has to be fangs. It cannot be fang and fang and fang because it messes with the rhythm of the subsequent things that fall out. So from Three Fangs Spilt, 3 fangs, 2 3 paw, 2 4 wing, and 1 1. So we're saying that kind of we had these larger avatars that were swallowed by 3 fang. Now they were in his belly and they are falling out. And that makes sense, right? So they were in there, but now they've been partially digested. So we had 1 6 paw, now we've got 2 3 paw. We had 1 8 wing, now we've got 2 4 wing. But who else falls out? 1 1, our homie. And we could theoretically, I'm going to add a yellow here because I think we may lose a little bit of power by saying N1 1. I think if you just say N1, it's more powerful. N1. You know, it's maybe in basketball, you get the N1, but also I think 1 is implied that it's 1. So actually, let's go ahead and do that. We can get rid of N1. Right, so this is what's happened. I'm just going to catch everybody up, make sure we're on the same page. We've got 2 avatars that are buddies. They were called One Another, and each of them has 2 hands. And they get to the top of the spire where all of the other animals before them have been destroyed by 3 fang. And the homie is swallowed by 3 fang, just like the other forms. The difference between him and the other forms is that he has a homie. That's the big difference. And so the homie's reaching for him, and what does he find? Instead of actually finding his homie, he finds 2 fangs. Holy shit. And so he splits them in half and half, still looking for one. And now we're saying that out of one's belly spilt 3 fangs, right? So there were different. His name is 3 fangs, so he has 3 fangs. And then we also have 2 3 paw, 2 4 wing, and 1. And these are the different elements that actually came out of his belly. Now we are going to continue. So 1 reaches and grasps, so he's falling. So he is on top of the spire, he's in the belly, and he's falling, he reaches and he grasps for his homie, Other. So there's 2 homies, 1 and Other, and he's falling out, and he reaches for his homie, but unfortunately, Other is now on top of the spire, and he is wrapped by Sun Splendor, which is the same vulnerability that the other avatars had fallen to prior. Because the sun splendor is so beautiful, it's so captivating that it makes him vulnerable and focused. Wrapped means it has this ecstatic element where it's beauty, but it also means you have like your attention is wrapped, right? So it's consuming you in the sense that it is you can't focus on anything else if you're wrapped. Okay. Now, this next line I don't like. One falls beneath a spire. So falls is not working. These words come out of nowhere. Where I haven't used the word falls, right? And if we're talking about incantations, we're going to introduce something. We should be looking to repeat words. We should be looking to find double meanings, and falls seems like a pretty weak. So we're not going to do that. And he falls beneath a spire. I think beneath, below, I'm not sure. You can put a yellow. You can see this is how we edit. We read it back. Writing is rewriting. I don't know if you're trying to be a writer, if anybody in here is, but you write it down, you get it down as best you can, and then you read it back to yourself, and you improve it. And what I do is in Notion is I just highlight those things that I think need to be changed as I am working on it. So let's actually fix this though. One reaches grass for other. He's reaching for his homie, but he's wrapped by sun splendor. One falls. So he needs to die. He's falling out of his belly and he needs to die. But what does he do? He's on top of a spire. Test it out. What are synonyms for the word fall? To say. Drop, tumble, plunge. None of these are really working for me. I wonder if there's some way that we can incorporate the hands, right? Like, what do hands do if they're falling? I have a better. AI wasn't helpful there. AI is often not helpful, but I mostly use it as a thesaurus. Every author uses a thesaurus dictionary. These are extremely important tools for authors, and I love AI. So we're going to be having a whole video about AI and writing in an ethical way, but that is not today. For today, what we need to figure out is falls and falls. Okay, let's go back. So in the moment when his homie is swallowed, the other homie reaches and grasps for one. What he finds when he grasps and reaches is two fangs. So what we need to do here is we need to mirror this rhythm. We need to mirror the rhythm. So what we have is an other and reaches for something, but he doesn't get it. Then he grasps and reaches, and he does get something else. Okay. Oops. Yeah, no, that is what Unfortunately, team, what we have here is that we have a nice, he reaches for this, then he grasps and reaches and he gets this, right? So this is the 4-line rhythm that we're looking for. Here we have another line in here. It actually messes up the rhythm. Well, let's see if we can actually. Tough because the other one is so clean, you know. But we need to try. We need to try because it's too beautiful. So this is what we need to do. This is going to this is what could I say that he actually holds on to that is proving that he got nothing? Air and air. It would be nice if it was a blank and blank. Continue the rhythm. So, space here. You could say death. Grass reaches. Need an A. Grasp and reach. That would indicate that he got nothing and then he died. We could say no one. Could be good. I'll say no other. Side of yellow. Wait. Trying to make sure I'm here today. I think no one is pretty. Question is it capitalized? Because he's one, so it couldn't be him being capitalized. Couldn't be. Okay. So now we're saying, why does he catch no one, right? So he reaches and grasps for someone. Why does he catch no one? There's two possible reasons. I think it has to be the second one, though. Hmm. Hmm. So wait, we wrote there, wrapped by. We have it there, comma. Let me use that. We have an opportunity. Reason why we have this space and a comma here, because we use it here. And we use it here. So that way we have let's move on. This is what we're saying. Don't know. We're doing quite well here, team. We make good progress. Actually cruise through. But what we have here is we got to keep this rhythm. So one reaches, grasps for other. He reaches for and grasps for his homie. One grasps and reaches, he gets no one back. Gets nothing. Because other is wrapped by something. A little awkward from a rhythm perspective, but that is what is happening, and so we're going to keep it. Other reaches, grasp for one. That's exactly what happens. So now the one that was wrapped is like, oh shit, where's my homie? We keep the rhythm. Here is the incantatory rhythm that we're going for with the repetition. Here you have reaches and grasp for other. He gets no one. Grasp reaches, right? Here we have reaches, grasp reaches. One and bone. Over here we had grasp reaches, fang and bang. And so we are able to, we have a complexity emerging, but we're actually using very similar language. I'm gonna take let's try to get to the incant. So his homie dies and he's really sad. I don't know if we need to make clear that he's sacrificed himself. This is what he is going to do. But I think if we can just kind of imply it. And these words weeps, this is what mother does. It could be mourns, right? Other mourns. But we have an opportunity to use two verbs here. We should probably not repeat this. We should probably have two verbs. And the reason being that we are reaches, grass reaches, right? We have two different verbs that we've been using. So while we have a repetition in some of the earlier verses, verbs here in this myth we have not been doing. We have been two different verbs to tell a more complex tale. So what is he doing? He's doing a sort of prayer. He's doing an incantation. So what verbs do we need? Mourns is a good one. Weeps is decent. We want to make it clear that he's starting an incantation, saying something. Chant. Is he reaching grass? Take these. Theoretically, we could say. In order to continue. He's starting an incantation. He's starting a service. Grasps the bones of one. That makes something. He reaches for something else. That also makes sense. But if we want to follow the rhythm from a little bit earlier, what we have is kind of a space here. I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to try something. Could say it like that. With a more incantatory feeling. but we're just kind of using more words to say the same thing. I don't really love doing that. Maybe we just get rid of this. How does he get the blood of the other? Right, he has to kill himself. And we got rid of the word sacrificed his self. Not 100% clear how if he's killing himself. How does he get the blood of, how does other get the blood of the other? He kills himself. So we could say I don't think Mourns weeps. I think obviously he's sad, but I do think we want to make it kind of feel more human. Make it feel more emotional. So I don't want to just imply that. I want to say it. You want to make, even though it's a little implied if his homie dies. I do think that we want to say it. I want to lose the emotion. His homie falls out of the sky. He's too busy being wrapped by the sun, lets him fall. So and now his homie's dead. So he's gonna be really sad. And if we lose the emotion, then all the hymns die, right? It has to have, even Jesus wept, right? And God gets angry, right? Even though these are primordial beings, they feel emotions, and if they don't, then the song is not going to hit at all. People aren't going to feel anything. Maybe if he just gets bone and bone, then it's implied. You don't need. This is what I think we do. He mourns and weeps for 1, right? So he's sad. Other blank, blank. Right, I'm going to take a quick breather. We're going to come right back and right into this. Pretty important. The ending of this is complicated. Are going to. Okay, so we have a lot more writing to do. Hurry, we're just getting started. Okay. let's check in since we took a little break on exactly what we are working on. 4th of September. And we're currently in a very important part, the end of this myth happens. So, two homies, and they are hunting this bad guy called, and each where the Three Fang is, which is top of the spire where only one person can fit, one of them is swallowed. He's destroyed. And the other homie, who was right behind him, reaches and grasps for him, but what does he find? He finds only 2 fangs. What he does is he splits out those fangs. He splits the bad guy that they were hunting in half. What happens? Things fall out of his belly. We've got all the animals. We've got his homie. The issue is that when other is up top, on top of the mountain, he is also similarly by becoming ice. So what we need to do, that was a pretty, let's try this again. The bad guy is split in half, and from inside of him, the guy that he swallowed, our homie, falls out, and he reaches for his other homie to try to save him. However, he can't because the guy's too busy staring at the sun. He's wrapped by sun splendor. And so then his homie goes and tries to reach for him. He finds only bone and bone, so he's dead. Now what we're trying to do is what happens after he finds his dead homie, and that's what happens after he finds his homie. Homie is dead. So he's going to begin an incantation. And that's what we'll... The idea is we could go right into the incantation, but we want him to be sad. Because we need emotion in the myth. There's no, need. Here we are. Going to be 13. Me for instead of him mourning and weeping for one, I think he mourns and weeps his twin. How powerful. You just lost your twin. What we could do he kind of splits himself in the same way that he split the Three Fang beforehand. And out of that, it's going to pour blood. I kind of like that. So let's mirror what we had before. So other splits, Three Fang half and half. So maybe we say half and half. I like that. This is him committing suicide, but we're doing it in a mythological way. Or I had sacrifices himself, but how can I show that instead of word sacrifice is doing too much there? It's not visually enough. How does he do it? Jump off a cliff? Does he stab himself with the fang? You know, doing it. What we're saying here is it uses his two hands because that form split himself into two halves. And from within him, spilt blood. You like that. What I don't love is this, other mourns and weeps. What are the emotions he's feeling, right? Shame, sadness. Those are the top three. I don't want to get stuck on it. Gotta keep cruising. Cooking. The one, blood of other. Nice. This is what's happening here, team. His homie just died. He's really sad. What does he do? He starts a ritual. He gets the bones of one and he gets the blood of other, and now he's inventing writing. He's gonna etch in Fang and Fang. I don't know the word story, but right. Get to the end and see what we have. I wonder if in this myth these are my open. One. In the next myth, when they find the fangs, the next people find the fangs. One is a spear and one is a staff. Wondering. Two fangs. Transform. To here and. That's open question. Question number 2. Oh, I think I. Say other leaves. For the leaves. Birds of leaves. Here, one staff. Music. Do we learn what they wrote in this myth or the next? All right, let's come up with our list of questions. Work on them. Read it from the top. only been live an hour and a half. I feel like I'm tired. Usually. Only because I'm live and talking to pretty much no one. Exhausting. Nicotine, getting some caffeine. All right. Let's read this back. Let's see what we got. From a seething, let me zoom. From a seething tide. All right. Let us read this back here, team. From a seething tide of ice and salt, or tongue forms tell that he cold. From a coursing river, fire and stone, or eye forms six paw. To see that he saw. Six paw prowls, runs three, cross all know. Still don't love. I'm just getting rid of get wee ball. Add it back. Runs three fang, though he prowls atop a spire. There, wrapped by sun splendor, three fang swallows six paw. From a coursing river of fire and stone, four eye forms eight wing. To see that he foresaw. Eight wing flies, hunts three fang above unknown. Until he flies atop a spire. There, wrapped by sun splendor, three fang swallows eight wing. From a coursing river of fire and stone, four eye forms two hands. To see that he foresaw. When two hands, one and other, hold one another. One grasps, other reaches. Reaches, other grasps. Known, unknown, unknown, known. Until one reaches atop a spire. There, wrapped by sun splendor, three fang swallows one. This is where we get into what we worked on today. Other reaches grasp for one, other grasp reaches fang and fang. I don't know about it. Other splits three fang, half and half. From three fangs build three fangs, two three paw, two four wing, and reaches grass for other. When grass reaches the one. Other reaches grass for one, other grass reaches stone and one. Other mourns, weeps his twin, splits himself half, and from other spilled blood and one. Reaches grasps bone of one, other grass reaches blood of other. Etches and fang story of other. Leaves, let me blank for the verb. Here, one staff before a spire. So no one, so no other. So I'm gonna mark down my options here. And I'll show you what I do. Starting up. Usually I would do this by hand, this part, but and I add the scrap tag. Question. 10 or 20. But known on in these on grass, other on grass is until one reaches atop a spire there. One splendor thanks. Reaches grass for one, the grass reaches and use the word comma or full into you'll see what I'm doing. It's in a minute. When one is reaching for other it's got it. The big issue. Grass, where that grass reaches, sweeps. See why I'm putting a minute, leave 3 minutes. There are more and sweeps, and I like that. Splits his self, half and half, and there's spilled blood. But we did great on that. Reaches grass, bones of one. Other grass reaches, blood of other. Other leaves. Now we're talking. So we've written for the last 2 hours. Now I'm going to show you how I use it to facilitate. This is my project. That was my project. Actually, stream. And this is my project for writing. Info. Here we go. I want to talk to you about how I. So we have spent the last 2 hours writing. What we're going to do now is do that writing. I love AI. I think it's a great tool. I really think it represents kind of the totem of human knowledge, and we should be using them in order to make the best art that we possibly can. Obviously, you need to do it ethically, and you need to do it apparently. I'm literally live right now, but every single author is. I think it's kind of like in Hollywood about plastic surgery, or people don't want to talk about it, but everybody did it. I think you'll find that my stories are so unique and so distinct that really not from a general perspective, but it does help me sort of think out loud and work through different ideas. So how I set up this AI project, what I have is I create these documents in .md, and this format is really easy for AI can read and hold on to memory with. And so these are detailed outlines of, as you can see, every single myth and what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. In addition, I even break out each myth with, I have just the words that I wrote, but then I also go verse by verse with my own analysis of why I wrote what I did. And this really gives the AI the sort of information it needs to be able to help me when we're talking about such an abstract project. And so this is what I'm going to do. See, I'll take what I have here. Okay, I am working on War, the myth. Here's what I have so far. And usually what I try to do is I actually just ask it what it thinks first. You never know if it's going to say something valuable. Here's what I wrote so far. What do you think? Or I ask it my specific question. See what it says. Almost never does it say anything else. Realistically, when you give it a broad like that, it's different. But you never know. And let's close the sidebar. A lot of this is genuinely stronger than the previous draft. Let me give you the full picture. What's working better? The Regis Graph's interlock is the big thing. Using that pattern for the incantation itself is the best move in the draft. The hands that were built to hold each other are now the hands that build writing. I like that. That's the kind of thing that makes a myth feel inevitable in retrospect. The Fang/Bone Mirror is cleaner and hits harder. I really did together. One spear, one staff is exactly right. Gate without explaining itself. Okay. The half and half symmetry. Okay, that's all good. Those are all changes that we made today, team, without it. Things to look at. Lines 10 and 20. You lose across all known and up for 8-way, which makes feel earned. Okay, I don't really care about that. One grass reaches, no other. The problem is other is there, just wrapped. No other reads as absence, which is actually an ability. The distinction matters. The previous other is wrapped by sense player playing before the reaching, which clarified the situation. Here it comes after, so the reader doesn't know why no. Okay, that's one of our open questions here. So we're on it. Half and half for three thing. Poetically it works, but three thing has three fangs. The having is slightly at odds with the creature's identity. Worth a second look. Down for that. Line 80, the blank is the obvious gap. Seeds of bones, blood, etching, transformation. The verb wants to feel like a completion, not just a positive. Okay, other leaves, and then what? Something like turns or plants, or even a more deliberate gesture. What did you have in mind? Other mourns, weeps his twin. I want to flag that mourns, weeps, followed immediately by splits itself is very compressed. Previous version had more space for grief before sacrifice. I like these. Let's go through it. One, regarding known and unknown, I don't think we get huge amount of value reducing earlier. Okay, so now we get a second note. I agree on the empty hands versus capture thing. We need that. What else? Half and half of the thing. Okay. I like that. We can say then only as the others the gap, I will want to wrestle with you on the word choice. We do that at the end. The Morn sweeps his twin. Want the flag that Morn sweeps. I agree that we do quickly from let's work on that. Now what we do is we add our, so those were the things that E came up with. Now we add our open. Right. Here are the open questions I came up with before asking what you thought. Align most of them. Can you combine the similar ones and create logical order for us to tackle them? So while it's thinking, let me just show you guys what we wrote for 2 hours. We written on stream at AI getting us kids. Then we were polishing it, We have some open questions. So what we decided to do was write down all those right here. And we sent AI what we have so far. Just asked it, what do you think? Because it sometimes comes up with yes. And worth considering them. No reason not to. But the next thing that we are doing is we sent it those, asked it to kind of combine those with our open its questions that it came up with, some of them. And now we are going to, here's the combined and ordered list. Then items work on. The Rapture empty hand. That's the first one that should work. I agree. So I'll explain to you what the problem is. AI and I understand, but I'll explain. So what it highlighted and what I highlighted where we're all is that one reaches and grasps for other, one grasps and reaches, and in this case it says no other, but it's not that he just finds no one, it's that other is wrapped by sun splendor. So we can even just, oh, this worked. Team, this is fucking good. Let me show you. Okay, so the issue we had was that when he reached for him, we told him that what he reached for was empty, no one there. But that's not true. What we're actually saying is that he's reaching for his homie, and his homie is actually wrapped by sun splendor. He's busy. And so what we do there is we say other is wrapped by sun splendor, because if you look up, we have a similar form where we say there, comma, wrapped by sun splendor. So we get a rhythmic repetition of the form there, which is good. As you can see, we go comma and then wrapped by sun splendor. So that works for me. Okay, what's the next one that we want to work on? And keep in mind, so AI and I had the exact same idea that we needed to fix that. I had it highlighted and I wrote it in my open questions, which just reinforces the idea that I felt that needed to change. Then just by even looking back at it and having spent that time to actually articulate to AI what the issue was, just even looking at it again and feeling that confidence that AI knew and I agreed, we were able to find a very solid solution almost immediately upon returning. And it's just kind of that back and forth with AI a little bit, that you're kind of talking to yourself. It's almost like a collaborator in that way, where all of those ideas just came from me. And yet, just by speaking it out loud and kind of going back and forth with the AI, it helped stir something and it helped stir me towards the answer that we ultimately were seeking. So let's say what's the next one is. Okay, so comma your colon. Comma or colon. Okay. One, I fixed. Let's move on. Two, okay, we keep only. Three, what do you think about the comma or the colon? And before it gives me an answer, let me tell you exactly what I'm asking. What I asked it, and this was one of my open questions that I asked it was, coming in here, what happens is that when the three fang is split in half, from three fangs spilt, right? So he's split in half and then things fall out of his stomach. And what I'm saying is, do we want a comma here or do we want a full colon, right? We have never used a full colon in this story yet, but we've also never like declared something and then had a list afterwards so that you can understand that the rest of the things immediately subsequent are part of this list. So I'm going to ask it, what do you think about the comma versus the colon? See what it says. Just we'll stir the pot. The colon is more logical, but the poem doesn't operate in that register. Would be the only colon in the manuscript confirmed, right? We just told you we haven't used it yet. And it would feel like an editorial intrusion. A list being announced rather than a spilling being witnessed. The comma keeps the motion. Before I move on, is there any other punctuation we should the M dash. I fucking hate AI's obsession with M dashes for two reasons. One, you can tell it's AI because they fucking use it all the time and they're obsessed with it, ChatGPT and Claude. Number two, I used to use M dashes all the time and I was the fucking cool kid who actually knew how to use them. And this is actually the incorrect use of M dash. They're actually supposed to connect. And so AI has completely obliterated my ability to use M dashes because A, they use it wrong and I need to tell it to stop using it so that it doesn't look like AI. And two, they fill everything with fucking M dashes and it's never even the right thing. So then when I can't even use it anymore because then people just assume it's AI. So dumb. Okay. So there's me getting angry at AI, but AI's been helpful for us to think out loud here, but so far hasn't come up with anything amazing, but has been a helpful tool for us. Let's keep going. We're just going to keep the comma here, deciding whether or not we wanted to go for a full colon or a comma because we have from three fang spilt, and then we have a list. Okay, what was the next open question I raised? Okay, I keep, what was our next question? Okay. Mourns and weeps. Yeah, but this was my question. So see, it's not giving me answers. It's just telling me the questions. Let's get what it thinks. So the idea that we're talking about here is that, we have other reaching and grasping, for one, and what he only finds bone and bone, right? So his homie is dead. And then what we're saying is that other mourns and weeps, and we do need to include information here that he's sad. He needs to be emotional, you know? We're determining what words to use here. indicate the emotion, but also move the story. Mourns is the only abstract state that's kind of true. Names the feeling rather than enacting it. Weeps enacts it. They're doing different kinds of work, and that asymmetry is slightly odd with the poem's words. I agree with that. Second, Mother weeps. Her line is weeps, weeps, pure doubling, pure physical grief. Mother weeps here that echoes either a problem or a gift. Problem if it blurs the two characters, a gift if it's deliberate, grief and grief. Mother's loss mirrors Mother's shame, and I do think it does mirror Mother's shame, and we did talk about that. I didn't bring it up because he's ashamed. Okay, what I got my first Twitch chat, and it was a bot. Go fuck yourself, bot. I don't want to hire stream viewers. Not at all what I'm trying to build. Okay. If you want the echo weeps weeps alone, dropping more is good. If you want to keep two verbs, means it's dog shit. Go for weeps. Because we're harkening back to the mother story where she weeps, and it's actually shame-based weeping and futility-based weeping. Go all the way up. I'll just show you that. It's in the mother myth. He weeps, weep. So let's update. Can you guys not? Oh no! You guys should have been able to see the AI the whole time, but I didn't. No. Yeesh! Sorry about that, team. I'm still learning. Shit. Well, we have it now, and you can see my whole. Let me just scan through the whole conversation. So, for full transparency, so what I said was, okay, I'm working on War of the Myth Live. Here's what I've written so far. So I shared exactly what I wrote. Then I asked it, "What do you think?" And it gave me pretty much exactly what I said. It brought up some issues that I didn't agree with, but some of them were reinforcing what we said. Then we've been responding back and forth about. Then I sent it my open questions that I had already prepared. And then we consolidated that list into 7 open questions. Now we're working through them one at a time, which is really just my way of organizing my thoughts and working through them one at a time. And so I'm really sorry that I had Claude hidden in the view there that whole time. I really wanted to be transparent with my use of AI, and that's why I went back and scrolled up so you could see everything that was written. I think we're in the future, team, and AI is here. And if you don't use it, you are going to fall behind. And if you rely on it too much, you're going to be absolute dog shit. So that's where we're at. Because I like weeps weeps because it harkens back to mother's weeping, because it is about shame and futility to change the current situation. No. It's saying something incorrect. No, comma, it doesn't move directly into that. It says his twin right after, which is not the right. I think some people are going to really fucking hate me for using AI, and I think those people suck, and they need to. You're right. I misread the flow. The problem is his twin is a line trying to name the object of the grief, but it lands awkwardly as a fragment. It reads like an F. What is his twin meant to do here? Is it naming who he weeps for, or is it meaning to land as a kind of title? Go back and look. I think the question is good. I don't think the options that he gave me are necessarily right, but this is the line that we're talking. Before we were saying he mourns his twin. Why his twin? I can't believe we had some viewers too, and I was just working and really fucking get hidden from dog shit. Let's look back. So if we're saying other weeps here, we're deciding is this. Let me tell you exactly. I'm vaping so much. Pretty well. Okay. This is where we are. We have other reaching for his homie, and what he finds is that his homie's dead. He only finds bone and bone. What we decided was that we need to make it clear that this is emotional, that it's not, that he doesn't just start the sacrifice right away, he cries. Crying is powerful and emotional. And what we used is weeps, comma. What we showed was that if you could scroll up to the second myth, mother, he weeps, comma. Here, right? And so what happens is salt, tear, and tear. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that there's a connection between whatever is said up to this weeps, and whatever is said there. So if there's a cross myth collaboration. I think since we are using weeps and weeps, we need to mirror the format of what happens to the mother after she weeps. However, I marked the current line salt here and here as placeholder, so it can't be used as a let's look at both together. So let's go all the way back. Well, let's do it. So what's happening here is that twirls and twirls to escape her shadow. She's ashamed of her shadow and she tries to escape it. And then she weeps, and I'm saying that there are salt tier and tier, creating two tiers. And I needed to introduce the idea of salt. So it's kind of implied. I may end up with salt. You have two tiers. What I want to do is say, what I need to do is mirror across myths. So this is the second myth, and we're currently in the fourth one. But because we're deliberately using weeps, which we're pulling from this myth, we need to mirror the formatting all the way down in the fourth myth, right here after this weeps, comma weeps. Here's mine. Weeps, comma weeps, right? So what are we saying in both? Before we go back to AI and see what it said, think about it. She weeps and weeps in the first one because of futility, right? Because she she weeps also because she's sad. And or also we could say that she weeps. And so we could say that she weeps two tears, right? Kind of the three elements. No, I hate that. Let's talk it through. Let's start with other. This is the latest manuscript. Let me pause for a second. Let's talk about AI. I use AI. I used to work in technology. I'm quite equipped with fluent in how AI works and different tools. And I want to use every single available to me to powerful art. And I've so far found that it has been an incredible workshopping through things like this. Right. So what we're doing is we're kind of editing it with ourselves, talking to ourselves pretty much, with having that reflected back. At the same time, what you'll find as a writer using AI is that it writes terribly. No sense of rhythm. It uses shitty word choice because it just doesn't understand poetics, especially, and it just is terrible at writing. But it is good for when you're looking for these logical things to just keep track of everything and act as just a sounding board for yourself. So it just gave me a terrible idea, but I don't mind that. I just need to update it on what we're talking about. I think the line after she weeps a few options. Has a few. She weeps because her twirling is futile. 2, she weeps because he weeps. Let's say we have 2 options. Weeps, and then we say what she weeps. E.g., okay, so if she weeps, here's salt. I think that so if tears of guys. We're doing really well tonight. If other weaves tiers of salt, the chain continues from other salt tiers to sons, other salt tiers to the first writing. The same substance across generations always productive. Grief in this cosmology is never just grief, it always makes something. I do like that. It also means the incantation changes. Currently it is blood of other doing the etching, but if the tears are the material, the weeping is the incantation, not a prelude to it. That's a different, arguably more powerful move. The crying and the writing are the same act. My instinct is that we can use the tears and the blood to make the markings. We can make a longer incantation. Where's the three materials? We have bones of one, tears of other, and blood of other. I agree. 3 different sources. The bones come from one, the tears and blood. All right, I agree. So let's work on it. Other weeps. Say tear and tear. F and F. Reaches grass, bones of one of the grass, reaches blood of other, etches in fang and fang, story of one and other. No, that's not quite. Because we need to include the tears as one of the. We could do it like that. We have bones of one, blood of other. We have fang. We have tear of other and mother even. And the fang, right? That's another resource we have. So what we're saying is if we're going to use in the incantation everything that we have, right? All the different tools that we have, all the different tools that we have include fangs, blood, and bones, and tears. We're close on this. Close on this shit. Understand. Okay, so yo, Pop and Puff, it's great to see you, mate. Thank you for swinging by. Why don't I give you a little update on what we've been working on? We got a new homie in the chat. I'll tell you exactly what we're doing. I'll actually go back up a hot sec here. So we've got, we're on the 4th of 7 myths, and this one is called War. And what it is it's a natural selection. Essentially, it's telling the story of like the War of Forms, how different forms come, and some are killed, and some are destroyed, and some end up learning to survive. And so we have Six Paw, who is destroyed. Then we have Eight Wing, who is destroyed. And ultimately, the form that is going to succeed is this pair of forms called Twin Two Hands. And it's A, because they have two hands, and B, because they have each other, right? So it's actually two forms. And so when the bad guy, who's called Three Fang, swallows his homie, the other homie is there to try and avenge him. And because they have two hands, the nature of these beings is that they reach and grasp, kind of like those old little monkey toys. And that's how they traverse the known and the unknown. And so what we're doing here is that we have this idea that once his homie is dead, the one who is currently surviving is really sad. Okay, so he is, and that's exactly where we are. So his homie dies up on top of the spire. He's eaten. Now the other homie is really sad. He kills that beast, but he's really sad. And so we start here, other weeps and weeps. So now what we have is we have an incantation that we're trying to write here. And it's supposed to have a rhythmic, incantatory feeling where you can see what he's actually inventing is writing. What he's going to do is he's going to take his sadness, he's going to take his mourning, and he's going to turn it into a story that he's going to write into the fangs that he found. The idea is so no one and so no other should so suffer. That the people who find those the story can learn from the mistakes of those who came before it. What we're doing now is we're actually working on that incantation. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to use all the different tools that we have already created through the earlier story. Because we use such tight language, we can't just start inventing shit that doesn't exist. This is the earliest days of a world. And so what we have is we have bones, right? Because the first guy who dies, we have bones. And now we are trying to create, we're going to create this story and actually create the etchings with whatever we have. And so what I'm saying is, he finds his homie, and when he finds his bone and bone, now we know the homie is dead. We have bones. Okay. But what I'm saying is he weeps. He weeps and weeps. And so what do we get here? Now we have salt. We have salty tears, right? So we have two tears that we can use in our incantation, in our sacrifice, in order to create the story. The next thing that we say is that he splits himself. So just like he split the Three Fang guy, you just got to trust me, I don't want to go up there. You split him, things fall out. So we have split and spilt, right? That's actually a one-letter transposition, but they have different meanings, obviously. And so if you split something, things spill out of them. And what spills out is blood. So we have blood, and we have bones, and we have tears. And we are trying to find a way to use those different tools in a very rhythmic, incantatory way to write the story of one another in the fangs. And what I've been wrestling with is the order to make sure that it's escalating in its complex, in its depth, in its richness, as well as its stakes. So the first thing you're going to do is cry. And so other weeps and weeps, tear and tear. I think the next thing that he's going to do is he's going to reach. We have a few things here. I'll walk you through the whole thing, and then I'll tell you what I'm struggling. So we have other weeps and weeps, tear and tear. He splits himself. He kills himself in half and half. And from inside of him spills blood and blood, right? And now we get into the incantation. So he reaches and grasps, those are the words, those are the things that he does. The bones of one. He grasps and reaches the blood of other. He reaches and grasps the fang and fang because he has two fangs to use. He grasps and reaches the tear and tear. Now, I think that he can etch in the fang their story. But what I think is the problem here is that the Bones of One he already has. But I think that Bones of One and Blood of Other is too epic that it needs to go lower, right? Because we're trying to escalate. So if we come here, he goes other. He reaches and grasps fang and fang. So that's the first thing. If he's going to do a ritual, he needs to get the different materials together. So he's grabbing those. He reaches and grasps. The first thing he's going to grab is the two fangs, right? Those are the two things he's going to grasp. And he's going to grasp and reach tier and tier, right? So he has two tiers. That makes sense. He'll take those. Then he reaches and grasps. He's going to take the bones of one. Then he grasps and reaches. He's going to take the blood of the other. And keep in mind that the repetition is building. It's escalating. Etches in fang and fang. The story of one and other would be good. But the issue is now, since we use fang and fang up here, I wonder if repeating them actually sounds good, right? Like, I can't just say etches the story of one another, even though that would be clean and tight, because where is he etching it? You know, is he writing it on his body? Is he writing it on the floor? Like, no, he's writing it on the fang and the fang. But the question is, like, does that sound weird because we start here? So other reaches, grass, fang and fang. Other grass reaches, tear and tear. Other reaches, grass, bones of one. Other grass reaches, blood of other. I think we need a new paragraph here. Now that this has gotten longer, we need a new stanza. Other reaches. I think we need to say who etches. So other etches. I think it's implied that others the one thing because they're homies. So I don't think that. And the other idea that I'm trying to accomplish that I'm not 100% sure if I'm succeeding is that once he etches the fang and the fang, they actually become one spear and one staff. So they transform. So he's when the next people find it in the next myth, they're not finding the fangs, they're finding the marked fangs, which now have distinct properties. Instead of being identical fangs, they are one is a spear and one is a spear. And I'm trying to accomplish all of that at the end of this story. So Pop and Puff, if please let me know if you have any questions about anything that we just walked through. I know it's a little abstract and a little complicated. I promise you it does hold up to internal logic. So he's crying, he gets our tears. And he sacrificed himself so we get our blood. Now we have our incantation where we take the fang and the fang, we take the tear and the tear, we take the bones of one and we take the blood of the other. And now we're etching something. Can you move the screen as you follow along? Yes, I will move the screen as I follow along. Oh my God, I have clawed up and not Notion. This whole time I was highlighting things and showing you things, Pop and Puff, and I would not have even realized that I wasn't showing you. And we had a bunch of people watching too for a hot sec, but we are learning. We have been streaming for 1 month now. 7th stream. We are getting better and better. Thank you for your. That's the second time I did. The time it was up. Working in AI and I wasn't showing anyone. All right, let's do it right this time. Let me show you where we're at, actually on the page. We're saying that other reaches and grasps for his homie, but he finds only bone and bone. That's where we get our first materials, bone and bone. His homie's dead. Other weeps. And this is where we get our tier and tier. This is another material for our ritual. The next thing is splits himself. He sacrifices himself, 2 halves, and from inside of him, we get blood and blood. And this idea of splitting and then spilling is something that is going to continue. You're going to find that as you split serpents for the rest of the myths, 2 serpents spill out. So it's going to be a common theme that will recur. Now we get into the incantation. Other reaches and grass, fang and fang. So that's the first thing he picks up for the incantation. And he grasps and he reaches the tier and tier. That's the second thing he picks up for the incantation. He reaches and grasps the bones of one. Got those. That's the third. And then he grasps and reaches the blood of other. It's supposed to have this rhythmic repetition because it's an incantation. And you're going to find that, in the fantasy world, that these myths are their cosmogonic foundational myths later on, that they perform these sorts of rituals. So now what we're trying to say is that he's etching their story in the Fang and the Fang. He has to write the story somewhere. He needs a canvas. And in this case, the canvas is the actual fangs that he has, that then future people, if you come down here, so no one, so no other should so suffer. The people who are going to find it that he doesn't suffer are actually going to find the fangs. But what I'm trying to accomplish in this last little bit is, after the incantation, the story needs to be written on the fangs, but then having the stories written in the fangs actually transforms the fangs. It transforms them into one spear and one staff. It's going to have different properties. The properties let's just write it shitty, right? So etches and fang, story of one another. One fang turns to here. Other fang do stuff. Right? This is obviously ugly. So we will highlight it to demonstrate that we're seeing it. But this is what we're trying to say here. After he writes that, we actually get transformation of the fang. Thinking. Very close. Stream working. I've assigned 4. Later myths are gonna, especially the last one. I wouldn't say I'm nervous. I would say I'm a little nervous. Last one is very common. Try to finish today. And some game. Bitches and fang. Oh, one fang. I like the word become because we use it earlier. And you're just gonna have to trust me that we are always looking for words that have been used earlier on and earlier. Example, when Earth gives birth to the first 2 children, we say, and so daughter become mother, right? So here, if I say one fang become spear, there's so many different words, there's so many different voices for the transformation. Turns to, right? Transforms, transfigures, etc. But we're going to try to use words that we've already used, continue that rhythmic incantation that we are trying to attempt with all of these. Keep in mind, these are myths, but they're also supposed to be epic hymns. They're supposed to be able to be sung. And we are going to write the rough draft of all of them. And that should be done mid-May. And then we're going to do the polished draft of all, which will be done by October, is my expectation. And those are going to rhyme and be like but we just need to equip ourselves the actual story. And the reason why this is so challenging and why I need to write these rough drafts to get to the end is that everything builds on it before. So on those things that came before it, right? So like this weeps we pulled from the mother story. The become, instead as the verb, is something we pulled from the mother story. So I give myself tools as the complexity emerges that I then need to reuse and to maintain consistency across the mythology. So question is now, so I think that this part of the sentence is actually quite good, but I don't know if I'm going to use one another describe each fang. Obviously it's practical in the sense that, you know, you have a fang and you have another fang, but at the same time these words carry a lot of weight in this myth because they are the names of the two hands. So just in fact, this is not exactly what this is saying what I'm saying, but its rhythm is off. But let's try to push to the end, and then we'll focus on the rhythm. So what we're saying here is, here's the incantation. It's kind of getting together all the supplies, murmuring and muttering and getting and chanting for the gods. So then he gets all those materials and he etches in the fang their story, the story of one. And because they have the story, one fang becomes a spear and the other fang becomes a staff. Now what we need to say to wrap this up is that the other is going to leave this spear, the staff and the spear, before the spire. This need to have been here earlier, Pop and Puff. See, but the spire is kind of where they are, and instead of is where everybody else had died. So before they get there, so that they can learn from their mistakes. Now, I'm going to put orange on that, and I'm going to go. This whole thing. Just to show. If I don't mark it yellow, I get kind of affected by everything. Once I've marked it, orange, and going to be returned to it, I can move on. So, leaves is not the right word. What he does is, let's say he like plants them in the ground. Let's say he you could see I put red there because I hate that word, but I'm just trying to push through. Man, Pop and Puff, thank you so much for swinging by. It's crazy how I get energized when there's an enemy. I've been streaming for 2.5 hours and I've been pretty much entirely alone. Adam Eli did come through at some point as well, but we haven't really worked on growth of this thing yet, so I can't sad about that, and I'm not, but I do think it just doesn't. Thank you for swinging. So other leaves. What do you do when you leave something behind? It's like an inheritance, right? So now I'm going to. So AI is one of its best uses is for like a. Yeah, dude, thanks. So okay, now let me think of verbs besides leave. Other the staff and spear for of inheritance, but we're also putting it had a whole rant about it earlier. But TLDR is, I know people are going to hate on the fact that I use AI, but those people suck and they can realistically, they have no idea where the world is going. AI is the totem of human knowledge, and you need to be able to use it ethically. These stories are something unique that there's absolutely no risk of me of it writing for me, and it's, you know, it's so poetic, it's possible, but I do use it for thesaurus. I use it to sketch ideas. I just workshop ideas and talk out loud to myself, and I don't a homie like you to speak with. Let's see what it says. Plants I don't like. Stands could be good because we used the word stands earlier. Roots, it's not the right word. Bro, we all use it, yeah. And I think in the author community, it's still so taboo. It's kind of like, you know, people used to not talk about like steroids in wrestling and bodybuilding, but everybody knows it. And in Hollywood, like plastic surgery, like authors are fucking using it. Like they're not dumb people and they're using AI. Marks. I like the word marks, but I think that we're going to use stance. And the reason why is I'll show you, Pop and Puff, how this all works. So the way that you create rhythm and continuity across myths is that we reuse words as long as the meaning is proper, as long as the meaning increases the value of the word across stories. We want to repeat words. So I'll show you where we use the word stands, and then I'll include it. So when Mother Earth gives birth to her first two children, there's two sons, and what does she want for them? What does a mother want for her children? He wants him to, so he might drink, become himself, become who he is supposed to be able to stand before light and know no shame. Because when she first encounters light, after her first orbit around the sun, he is overwhelmed by light's perfection, by the sun's perfection, and she feels shame. So what she wants is for her sons to stand before light and none. In this case, we can reuse that word stand, at least we can try it, come back to our current myth. One spear, one staff before aspire. So no one, no other should so suffer. All right, let's read it back and then do some gaming. We've been writing for almost 3 hours. We've taken one break. From a seething tide. From a seething tide, ice and salt, 4 tongue forms hell that he hold. From a coursing river of fire and stone, 4 eye forms 6 paw, the sea that he foresaw. 6 paw prowls, hunts 3 fangs, till he prowls atop a spire. There, wrapped by sun splendor, 3 fangs swallows 6 paw. From a coursing river, fire and stone, 4 eye forms 8 wing, the seed that he foresaw. 8 wing flies, flies, runs Three Fang until he flies atop a spire. There, wrapped by sun splendor, Three Fang swallows Eight Wing. From a coursing river, fire and stone, Four Eye forms twin two hands, the sea that he foresaw. Twin two hands, one and other, hold one another. One grasps, other reaches, known, unknown. One reaches, other grasps, unknown, known, until one reaches atop a spire. There, wrapped by sun splendor, Three Fang swallows one. Other reaches, grasps for one. Other grasps, reaches, only Fang, Fang. Other splits Three Fang, half and half. From Three Fang spilt, Three Fangs, two Three Paw, two Four Wing, and one. One reaches, grasps for other. One grasp, reaches, other, wrapped by sun splendor. Other reaches, grasp for one. Other grasp reaches, only bone and bone. Other weeps, weeps, tear and tear, splits his self, half and half. From other spilt, blood, blood. Other reaches, grass, fang and fang. Other grass reaches, tear and tear. Other reaches, grass, bones of one. Other grass reaches, blood of other. Etches in fang and fang. Story of one and other. One fang becomes spear. One fang becomes staff. Other stands, stands. One spear, one staff. Before a spire. So no one, so no other should so suffer. Not perfect, team, but it's way better than when we started today. You can go back and look at our draft. Just rewinding this stream, which will be live after this. We've been doing this for 3 hours and we made a lot of progress. Pop and Puff, thank you for joining us. I'm going to take a quick breather here and then get into some gaming. I got no juice left, but we did accomplish our goals. I'm gonna wrap this up in the morning and submit it to my writing workshop tomorrow. BRB, hope to see you guys in the gaming stream in just a couple minutes here.